Today is Saturday, September 1st, 2018. Get ready for the Emergency Broadcast System, the Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Now's the time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. And special thanks to YouTube.com for your hosting the Forbidden History series. And I got that message, Lynn. Thank you. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the RealPublicRadio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week at Saturday, weekends at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and during the week at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network, trying to mix it up to accommodate everyone, just so that you know. Yes, on Saturday, Sunday, it'll be 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then on the weekdays, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, we're trying to accommodate Love's work schedule during the week, and she said she can still do it early on Saturday and Sunday, so that way we can reach our other friends around the world that are possibly not able to make it on a certain time window. As we're got a global audience here, it's really great. Hey, Love, good, glad you made it. And Virgo 84, a real dedicated sky watcher. Great to have you on the program today, Crystal. And hope everybody's doing all right out there. So stand by for the broadcast. It's what they didn't want you to know that we tell right here. You know that, right? Okay. You did tell your friends? Well, thank you. Oh, you didn't? Get on that phone right now. And okay, real quick, Lynn, before we go to the broadcast, Mew Mew was shut off last night for mentioning Venezuela. Certain words will shut her down. If she shows up, don't... Okay, I won't say anything. Okay. Sorry, I didn't... You should say, don't read this, okay? Anyway, that's water under the bridge. So stand by for the broadcast. Coming up next. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and the heart of Amish country and Free America Radio Network, in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series. The great lies of history, the words that kill, the piracy of words, symbolism, the movies, book reviews, the AB Seeds of Light, and on Saturdays we do the read from the New Testament Apocrypha and the Acts of Talmud. The Acts of Talmud we're into. Good morning, Lydia, up there in Ireland, and we're back on. Had to take a break, but we had to come back because we are the deprogramming program. And it's a tough world, isn't it? I'm telling you, it's the battle for the mind. And light is truth, and ignorance is darkness. And these are the great contenders, ladies and gentlemen, fighting against the other. Thank you, Virgo. Yeah, it's a tough world, but we're going to make it through, because once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things as they really are, then we can begin to comprehend that there's nothing more to complain about. We just have to be able to buckle up and get ready for a ride, the ride of our life, ladies and gentlemen, right? Okay, we've never been here before, but we are now. And and good morning, Shannon, good to have you. You're not late, you're just in time. For all the things that great civilizations can create, there's one thing that they can't do, and that is they cannot create light. Those phony illuminated like to call themselves the light, but those Luciferian, secret handshake club, yeah. But they can't create light. They say, what do you want, my son? Give me more light, Bubba. Okay, here's some more light. A phony token, a phony symbol that you'll never be able to figure out because we educated you. You graduated with a mortarboard on your head, right, slave? That's right. Pat him on the head. Go run along, play now, sonny. Okay, the little boys club, of doom and destruction, of deceit and dishonesty. But we're going to make a difference, ladies and gentlemen. And you don't know what you don't know until you listen in. So glad you're here. And hope you did tell your friends. And welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. The best way to identify the truth is to identify the great lies of history on the Forbidden History series. And I am your host, Desert Owl. Bird who sees in the night, a former political activist, got 30 years in the frying pan, and they still got the heat turned up. I can't get over it. When will these people ever wake up that they're destroying their own world? But they have to. They surrender their free will and their mind to a phony blood oath of deception and a phony goddess that's nothing but other than an idea in somebody's mind and in a book in a page somewhere. And they're willing to play the boys' game, and while they brag in Morals and Dogma, Albert Pike, the Grand Poobah of Freemasonry, that they wage all revolutions. In other words, revolution is war. Okay, they wage all wars, and they're so proud of it. I just can't get over being proud of all the destruction that's been on the planet Earth. That's their idea of being creators. They are the Shiva. Doing the dance on the baby, the creator and the destroyer. They brag that they are the creators and they are the destroyers. And so we have to deal with the psychopathic world and hope we can bring our families out alive, ladies and gentlemen. And there's two forms of death. There's a spiritual death and then there's a physical death. And the spiritual death is the killer, okay? Because we have to put on the light. And that is the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit, and then we are for the first time rising from the dead, because we're dead in the grave with Yeshua until the moment when He fills us with His great breath, and that's part of the great mystery. And nobody talks about the metaphysics of these things correctly, because they even say, well, He don't do that anymore. Okay, He's the same yesterday, today, and forever, but He doesn't do that anymore. Okay, so and good morning, Ninja. I don't think I said hello to you yet. Okay, and yeah, it's an interesting world, and if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there, and good luck with that, because there's only one path. Okay, there's only one path, and you got to stay on. It's a narrow path. It's straight. And it's not easy at times, when you get beaten up, persecuted, and nobody to talk to, because nobody cares about the truth. They say, hey, don't give me the truth, just give me the fiction. It's a lot more entertaining, and I can't handle the truth, right? So anyway, I gave you the new schedule. You know that we're going to be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, right here every Saturday and Sunday, and then 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday through Friday, okay? And thanks to y'all love being available to do the read for us, so I really do appreciate that. And if you have a Skywatcher report, virtually everybody here, and there's another one, Sunfire, good morning, out there in UK, and I think it stands for Yuck now, for the yucky skies they got over there, but another Skywatcher. Everybody here is a Skywatcher pretty much, so if you got a Skywatcher report, you've seen something that blew your mind, that you want to share everybody here on the program with, then you're welcome to call in, and we can direct them to your channel then to see what you got, if you got a good capture. Okay, that's 608-566-7295, 608-566-7295, or if you want to call in on Skype, Free America Radio, all one word, free as in freedom, Free America Radio, Okay, and you'll see it still says Kingsland, Georgia, but I am in Millersburg, Ohio. And so, boy, I've been off basically all week, and I have a pile of 3x5 cards in front of me, and I've got a long road to go and a short time to get there. So let me have at it. And by the way, if you got a great, not just Sky Watchers, but if you have a great lie of history or words that they killed us with, anything of that nature you want to share, good morning, Barb, then just feel free to call in, okay? I think Sam Groper down in down under said she wanted to call in with something, and that was a few days ago, so perhaps she'll be on. But so anyway, the great lie of history. Okay, here's a great lie, and it is the thing they call fossil fuel. You know, fossil fuels. Like, did you ever see an animal on the side of the road, a dead animal, whether it was a dead deer or a dead possum or anything like that on the side of the road? Did you ever see oil pouring into the ground when the animal was laying there dehydrating and decaying? Did you ever see the oil? The oil, they say we have fossil fuel, but actually that's a great lie of history, okay? Because the fuel, this petrochemical that we have, is not from fossils. It is from the cooled and reserved energy reserves of a star. Okay, energy reserve of a star, and they don't want us to know this. They can't tell us. They know that the Earth came out of the sun. The Earth, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, all these came out of the sun, not the gaseous orbs. The gaseous orbs came in from the outside. They're still waiting to be ignited if it ever happens to them. But the main planets and the moons they are the children of the sun. Okay, and that's why there was an oil company, and they're telling us. See, Confucius said, "Signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor law." Okay, signs and symbols, not what people say, but what they're shouting with their symbolism. And there's a company called Sunoco, and that's called Sun Oil Company. So they're admitting, in the name of the company, in the acronym, shouting that the oil is a produce of the sun, because the entire Earth came out of the sun, and this petrochemical that is the cooled energy reserve of a star. Look what they do. Just like the sun creates everything, right? The sun creates everything. Everything we see is a product of the sun, the product of a star. The star is the prime symbol. And so just like the star created everything, when they pull the petrochemical out of the ground, what do? They create everything we use today, right? From, first to, when they first started using it, it was the nylon stockings for the women. That was really cool, right? Because they made this very, very thin, textured cloth called nylon, and it was made from petrochemicals, and the women just ate it up, of course, and then we have, what else is made? Of course, our energy, for our automobiles, but they make pharmaceuticals, right? Out of the oil reserve of a star, and plastics, right? In fact, they make everything. There's nothing they can't make out of the produce of the star, the same star that created the planet and everything on it. Then they take the same material that is the produce of a star, Sun Oil Company, and then they would DuPont and the other companies, and then there's nothing they can't make with oil, because it is the foundation, building blocks of all creation. Sun Oil, okay, not fossil fuel. Oh, they lied to us in school, didn't they? Yeah, they sure did, those tricksters. So fossil fuels, the great lie of history, ladies and gentlemen, and you heard it here first. Don't forget that, and tell your friends. Okay, that's something to start a conversation about. Did you know we've been lied to? Nah, come on, they wouldn't lie to me. My politician, he wouldn't lie to me. I listen to him every day. Kiss my baby. He wouldn't kiss me off. Of course not. And then in the duality the duality revealed in patterns and pictures. Okay, I think before I go there, let me think. I got a trail to go down. Yeah, before I do this duality, I want to, I like to do the read from the Nag Hammadi. And we've got, that way we start off right with the script, okay? And then we can get into that next, let me think here, okay? Because I got this pile of books in front of me. I can't get over it. Okay, I'll run through it real quick. The duality revealed in patterns and pictures in nature, okay? because, the Aryan race, let's see here, how am I going to start this? Okay, the Old Covenant, the Old Covenant is the Masoretic text. The Masorite is very frequency, good to have you. The Masorite is the original name for Egypt, okay? Egypt, the word Egypt is only just over 350 years old. When they gave us the King James Bible, then they had to, get rid of the word Masoreim, because the Old Covenant was produced by the Jewish Masorites out of Switzerland, right? Masoreim, Egypt, Masorites, Old Covenant, the Masoretic text, right? And so it's an Egyptian text. What that means then, if we call Masoreim Egypt, then our Old Covenant's in an Egyptian text. You see? They played the ultimate trick, so they couldn't let us know about Masoreim, so they hid it in all academia. Whenever, even Herodotus, the great historian, they didn't transliterate it Masorite, they did it by translating it Egypt. So it's a global conspiracy to cover up the original name of Egypt, which is Masoreim. So I always say, the pseudo-Egypt, Masoreim and pseudo-Egypt. So because we got to speak truth. The truth is not a part of any lie. And so the Old Covenant, yeah, and that's why, so basically the Khazar banking Jews are the ones who gave us our Old Covenant. You think they would tell us the truth? The ones who hated the Mashiach? Well, they weren't even there. Actually, the Ashkenazi weren't even there. This is a wholly different group of people. They are the pseudo-Israel. They're the ones pretending to be Israel, and really they are not Israel at all. As it says in Revelations, there would be those who are call themselves Israel who are not Israel. Israel is the correct word. They changed all the words. We go through the code here. It's just a big web. It's like there's no end of material for me. It's really amazing. So we have okay, that we got that one taken care of. Then the double kingdom. You see, there was a double kingdom ultimately, right? This duality in nature. We had the northern kingdom. We had the southern kingdom. What's going on? See, Yeshua is telling us, Mimu, glad you made it, okay? And good morning. So the double kingdom, the duality, you see, but it is Yudah. It is the Yutha. That's the original word, Yutha, which is the prime root is the word Yud. They pronounce it Yud, Y-U-D, but it's Yutha. Yutha, youth, like the youth. Why? Because the sun is perpetually young. It don't grow old. We don't see the sun growing old. Been around for, I don't know, several billion years now. Just going along, ticking okay. Because it's recharged by Yahweh. Recharged every 5,500 years when it passes through the flat line of the galaxy. And the Horizon Project did an excellent presentation on that. But, let me see here. So, yeah, so youth represents the sun, the age of youth. When we're in our prime, okay? So the northern kingdom, so it is Yutha that represented the sun. Yutha represents the sun, Judah, and therefore the rest of the kingdom was dissolved. You see, because out of the corrupted group came the true light from the tribe of Yutha, from the tribe of Judah, and that was the Mashiach, Yeshua. Okay, so we've got to get the picture in the symbolism, just like with Saul and David. Well, wait a minute. We got Saul was anointed, David was anointed, and we got Saul wanting to kill David. Saul is a jealous king, a jealous ruler. Well, his very title, Shaul, means the grave. Shaul means the grave. So he was in the grave. He was acting like he was in the grave. And he was bigger than everybody else, and everybody thought he was, looking good, but yet he was of the earth. See, this anointed represented the earth. So there's our duality again. Okay, so Saul represented the falsehood. He failed in his mission, just like Israel, and so David is the one that Yeshua said his throne will be taken up to the throne of the Son, that Yeshua would rule through the throne of David. Okay, not Saul, not Shaul, not the grave. And where are the people who live in darkness, who live in sin? They are in the grave. Okay, so there's so much symbolism in this. It's really, It's amazing. So anointed, we could see, is a similar word to appointed. And so Saul represents that which was appointed in the darkness, and that is the false traditions. Because the false traditions, just like the Jesuits give us most of our translations, you know, they're anointed or they're appointed. They're appointed to, to hold the baby, but they're not going for the journey. Okay, they're of the earth, they're earthly, and so that's the symbolism there. Okay, and so just like Israel fell, Israel fell, also the Aryans fell. There's the duality again, because it was the Aryan through Adam who came to earth that was supposed to bring truth to mankind, but the Aryan decided they'd rather clean up shop and dominate the world and enslave everybody, and that's what they did, and they made the Canaanites the warfaring class. Okay, so there's our duality once again. You got the true Aryan line, which was Abraham, Enoch, Methuselah, Noah, okay, Yaakov, Ishak, okay, all of them were the true Aryan line. And but the false one was Egypt, okay, and then the Brahmin priesthood was running it out in India. So and then okay, and so yeah, the Aryans' purpose, and then they were supposed to deliver the message. That's why they were called sky gods. They were called sun gods. They were the children of the sun. And that's why the correct terminology in our scriptures is seed of light. Okay, that they are seed of light. And that's what Yaakov means. Yaakov means the seed of light. Okay? The seed of light. And so this, all of this, the element of light has been taken out of our scriptures. Okay? And that's why they removed the word sun in most of the instances, not all the instances, but most. And they supplemented it either with the word lightning or the word heaven. Okay, the code, because they hate the light. They embrace the Luciferian goddess, the blind goddess symbolized by the moon, in the darkness, not in the daytime, but they are in the darkness. And and then it's interesting that the word enlightenment, I just saw that for the first time here this week, and I realized that, again, just like all the words, they abbreviate them, and it's actually Zen enlightenment, because Zen means infinite. Okay, that's what enlightenment is, right? It is infinite. And so Zen enlightenment, or actually Zen, because the E is a corruption, it's spelled Tzann. Zen enlightenment. The T is silent at the end, so it is actually Zen enlightenment. Zen enlightenment. That's enlightenment. That's going back towards original thought. And it means the infinite light of creation. Okay? The infinite light of creation. That's what the enlightenment is about. That's what Yeshua was bringing us. He was bringing us the infinite light. He established the golden age of light. Okay? And so that's what the Spirit does, is it brings us the infinite knowledge of who we are, where we are, why we are, and when we are. Okay? The revelations, they come. I've got the original name for the garden now coming up. Okay, that came to me this week, and it's a very powerful statement. Okay, so when we get there, stand by, right? So, okay, got taken care of our duality here, and let's see where we want to go next. So, okay, so let's go into the Nag Hammadi and do a read real quick. And by the way, I know I missed some questions on the very last program, and so I saw Mew, you had a couple, but I saw one that I wrote down. How was this all banned? I think was your question, and it was a little ambiguous. So I assume about all of our writings is what you meant, and basically, they it's through the Vatican. The Roman Empire started with Constantine. He stole the library in 300, just over 300 AD, and they brought the library from Caesarea, and then they put most of it in the basement, and then they had a vote. Well, they didn't really vote; it was just like decree. Okay, I'm telling you. Okay, Constantine said we're only going to use these 27 teeny weeny little letters, and abbreviated Gospels, and these are going to be our New Testament for this religion, and of course it was the great scam on Christianity, on our tradition, because we had a library. Eusebius brought it over, so it's real tragic, okay? And so then the Vatican, once the Roman Empire fully converted itself into religion, then they put the polish to the words. They changed the words, but basically it is the B system. That is the B system. The Vatican / Roman Empire is the ancient Babylon perfected, but it still goes back. Babylon was a front, just like Mitzrayim, Egypt was a front, just like the Vatican. They're all front offices of the ancient Aryan Brahmin priesthood, run out of northern India, primary. But they're now spread out, of course, in Switzerland, Burma, in the deep hill country, and Tibet. These are all their enclaves where they store the great wealth from ancient time. There's no doubt great tunneling systems inside the Caucasus Mountains and the mountains of Tibet. And that's where they've got all their anti-gravity technology and technology from before the Great Flood, from the proverbial Atlantis. It's all up there in caves, and so it's just it's amazing having to follow the trail, because it took me all these years to be able to wrap my mind around all of it and find the missing pieces of the puzzle. And they're in this documentary, that documentary, and it's on the pictures of the reliefs on the walls, or it's in this book, and they keep trying to hide the books, or when somebody mentions them, then they disappear. So they because they're always trying to cover the trail. That's why they buried up and destroyed all the bones of all the giants, right? They dumped them in the Atlantic Ocean, something like that, So anyway, we're in the Nag Hammadi, and signs and symbols rule the world. Okay, so major read today in the Gospel of Truth, which is correctly the Star Message of Truth, and but first we'll go into the Gospel of Tama. But you're going to hear the solid bottom line in what this symbolism is all about in Revelation coming up right after this. Let me turn on a little light. And want to welcome any new listeners we have out there. Okay, and all of our friends. It's great to be back broadcasting after a week, and so much to cover, and we have such little time with the craziness of this world. Got a bunch of psychopaths running it, and they want to drink our blood and have a party on us, So the good news is we do have a Redeemer, and we the great light, our great Father Yahweh, He sees all things, and his Son Yeshua is fully active within our world, within our lives, and within the universe, and He don't need nobody. Okay, He doesn't need anybody's help. He runs the entire cosmos. And it's amazing to realize the power that He represents from Yahweh, our great Elohim. In the abbreviated form, it's Elohim, but it's Elohim. Okay, so in the Star Message of Toma, Yeshua breathed, "This heaven." Well, there you go again. You see the word heaven, another code word. This cosmos, the sun, earth, and moon. That's what it would have been. The sun, earth, and moon will pass away. Let me take a note here. The sun, earth, and moon will pass away, and the stars above will pass away. The dead are not alive, and the living will not die. So the dead are not alive. So that's the walking dead. They're in the outer darkness where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, not in the covenant relationship with Yeshua, living in sin with their eyes closed, and yet the living cannot die. The living is not will not, cannot. The living cannot die. When their body passes, it's just an illusion, because they transcend. They are, once they raise from the dead of this world into the life with the Spirit, then they are alive forevermore and serving the great breath in the ultimate experience. Okay, so during the days when you ate what is dead, you made it alive. when you are in the light. So then when you are in the light, what will you do? So when we eat the dead, to me, it represents eating the sacrament, the unleavened bread, and taking the wine. So during the days when you eat what is dead, you were made alive. And when you're in the light, then what will you do? So they're rough translations. These translators, very many of them were occultic, and so they didn't give us the pure. Okay? And that's the thing. We have to be masters over the diction, and we have to know the scriptures. By near 40 years of reading lost writings, I've become rather adept at it. So, and then one more line here. On the day when you became one, you became two. But when you became two, when you become two, what will you do? Okay? So a very deep saying, but it's all about the process in Yeshua, the salvation process. Okay? Then becoming one with Yeshua, there we are one, there we are two. Okay? So which is it? Well, it's both. It depends upon the aspect you were talking about in the metaphysics. Okay? So now we've got the Father utters the names and the symbols of people who know. It's a rough title, and but we'll just get the picture when we start reading here. Okay, let me just take a sip of my tonic real quick to help my throat out, and hope everybody's doing okay out there. I know that that you friends struggle every day yourself. We're all in a struggle, and it will be a miracle to transcend this world alive, because the world wants to kill us. You know that, and they've destroyed all of our scriptures, all of our tradition, and so we've got to unravel the mystery. We've got to pull it back together in the great mystery. It's the will of the Father. It is a discovery. I at one point, when I found out that so many of the things we heard when we came into the world are not true, then ultimately at one point I would say to somebody, are the things that you follow, in particular in your spiritual tradition, but you could say in general as well, are the things that you follow, are these things that have been handed to you by tradition, or have they been revealed to you? Because when the truth started opening up, I found out that the whole mob is running in that direction, and I'm running in the other direction. Okay, whenever you follow the crowd, you're already a loser, because it's not with the crowd. The crowd is not going. The crowd is always wrong. That's why they call them a mob. Okay, but the truth is solitary, and it's revealed through a process, because what's in front is the facade. The facade is in the front. You have to pierce the veil. You have to look behind the curtain and beyond the stage, and what is back of it is the reality. And so we're going to be coming into the terminology about the alphabet. That's what's coming up here. Symbols, signs and symbols rule the world. Now you're going to hear it out of the gospel of truth, which is correctly the star message of truth. Okay? So to those names he knew at the beginning were called at the end, as it is with every individual who has knowledge. Such names the Father has uttered. I guess that's symbolic of the calling. Again, we don't have the original script, and we're relying on these translators. But such the names the Father has uttered, so you've been called. One whose name has not been called is ignorant. For how could an individual hear if that individual's name has not been called? Whoever remains ignorant until the end is a creature of ignorance, and will perish with it. Otherwise, why do these wretches have no calling? Why no voice to speak truth? And as here says, have no name, and it could imply then the name of Yeshua as being that name. That they're not called by that special name where it said in Revelations, I will give you a name that nobody can name, because they're not using it. They prefer the paganism. They prefer all their terms to be in paganism, not in the true Eastern tradition. They were westernized, bastardized, and corrupted. So whoever has knowledge is from above. If called, that individual hears, replies, turns to the one who is calling, and goes up to him. He knows how he is called. The way. It's called the way. That individual has knowledge and does the will of him who called him. That individual wishes to please him, finds rest, and has the appropriate name. So has the appropriate name, see? So in other words, because they cared about the truth, they didn't want the phony name. They went after the truth. Went back across the river into the east of light. Those who have knowledge in this way know where they come from and where they are going. They know as one who, having become intoxicated, has turned from his drunkenness, and having come to his senses, has gotten control of himself. In other words, disciplined himself. The eye, he has brought many back from deception. Just take a note on that. He has brought many back from deception. He went before them to the places from which they had turned when they followed deception, because of the depth of him who surrounds everything, though nothing surrounds him. Indeed, it is amazing that they were in the Father without knowing him, the great Father. That's why it says, call no one your great Father. It says, call no one Father, but it was actually, call no one the great Father, because Yeshua, Yahweh is the great Father, you see? And that's why we don't call our fathers great Father. I can tell you that mine were not great at all. They were yeah. So anyway, just want to point that out, the terminology great Father, because he is our great Father. He made the universe, right? Okay, so indeed it is amazing that they were in the great Father without knowing him, and that they could leave on their own, since they were not able to contemplate or know the one in whom they were and still are. And then this is the paragraph right here, ladies and gentlemen. For if his will had not come from him, then he revealed it as knowledge that is in harmony with the expressions of his will. So he revealed it as knowledge that is in harmony with the expressions of his will. This knowledge term could be, vague here and could imply symbol, but it'll get more specific here. Continue. That is knowledge of the living book. The living book, okay? And the living book is your mind, okay? That's the book that has potential to be perfect. That is the only potential perfect book we can find, because all the other books have been corrupted, okay? The living book, which he reveals to his new creation, okay? Be born again, new creation, okay? He reveals to his new creation at the end, when everything was finished, by his letters. It literally says that here, by his letters, which are symbols. The original word for letters in the 1800s was symbols. Letters are symbols. They don't want us to get that picture, so they call them letters. But a letter is a page of writing that's on it. That's the letter. It's a page. But the symbol, okay, is what really is the letter. He showed that they are not merely vowels and consonants, so that one may read them and think them devoid of meaning. In other words, empty little strokes on a pen, right? Empty little characters mean nothing. No, it's the DNA of life right there. It's the foundation of all of our being wrapped up in that code, because here it continues. Rather, they are symbols of truth. Symbols of truth. They speak and are known. They reveal themselves. Each letter is a perfect truth. Each symbol is a perfect truth, like a perfect book, for they are symbols written in oneness, written by the Great Father for the new creation. For you, that's you, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So that by means of his symbols, they might come to know the Father, okay? Just like they switched out AVG and they turned it into ABC. And I'm going to show how they use that code to destroy our words coming up, okay? So anyway, there it is, ladies and gentlemen, okay? The alphabet is a hieroglyph. And these are the ancient Aryan, Aramaic, Indo-Germanic, Aramaic tongue, mother tongue, okay? That was breathed into Adam. And these symbols of the Aramaic were perfected actually on the driver's license by the Kabbalists in our modern time. The symbols on the driver's license, the capital letters, what they call Phoenician alphabet. Phoenicians used them, but they did not own them nor invent them. They predate and go back to the time of our great father Adam. Okay, they were intelligent. They were communicating from the beginning and communicating with Yahweh. They were enlightened ones. They were the ones who knew the ultimate math, who knew when the eclipses would occur. They knew about how free energy, how to metallurgy, crossbreeding, selective breeding, all of the great, amazing things that we see. They are the engineers of our world, the fallen Aryan watchers, the Vekaresh, correctly, which is corrupted as vicar in the Vatican, but they want us to think it's watcher because they switched a V into a W, but it's a double V, isn't it? It's a double vision. So anyway, friends, I just gave you the smoking gun right here that defines the alphabet. I'll read it one more time. It's worth it, okay? Okay, for if his will had not come, then he revealed it as knowledge that is in harmony with the expressions of his will. That is knowledge of the living book. The living book then also could be implied as the alphabet itself. That's the living book. Book would be what? Shofar, yeah. Yeah, the book is shofar. Well, what's shofar? It's the knowledge of fire. And what I've been calling the vowels for decades are seeds of light. They are the seeds of light. You change the vowels and it reveals the other aspects of the word, which he revealed to his new creation at the end of time, when everything was finished, by his symbols. That's when he said to his father, he said, "Who do people say that I am?" Finally, Kefe stood up and he says, "Well, you're the Mashiach. You're the one come to redeem Israel." And he said, "Blessed are you, Baruch, endowed and enlightened with the mind's eye, for seeing in the night are you, Kefe, and all of you, because flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but the great Spirit above. And I give to you the keys." He said, "I give to you the keys." Okay? And so what are the keys? The keys, ladies and gentlemen, are the letters, primary keys, but the ability to interpret all symbols. Okay, all symbols we've got to be able to interpret. And good morning, Martha. Good to have you. And so each letter is a perfect truth, like a perfect book, for they are symbols written in unity, written by the Great Father for the new creation, so that by means of his symbols they might come to know the Father, because these are seeds of light. So what did they rip us off from? The very first letter of the alphabet, right? They rip us off from the first letter of the alphabet, A, and they use the I, the I with the dot above it, and it's the symbol of their Luciferian goddess. It's a symbol of the pillar. We were told not to make the pillars. We've been talking about that. And so the I represents the pillar. Absolutely, the capital I, and also the small I with the dot, and the dot is the moon going over the horizon. you tip the stick over, and then you got the moon going over the horizon, a vowel. And let me put this book back here. Oh, geez, and I got another book I got to read here too. I can't believe it. Hang on. All right. So I don't remember if there was something in this one. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a legacy we've been handed of deception, you know, and we have to make sense out of it. So continuing on in that symbol aspect, okay. Continuing, I've got a mountain to climb today, so bear with me. I'm trying to cover ground. I took a lot of notes because I continued reading during the week. I read every day. Of course, in the morning is my favorite time to read, first thing. And so I got to read this to you because now we're talking about symbols, okay? We talked about the letters, but let's talk about symbols specific. And I got this lecture that came out of England. The first 2 chapters of Genesis considered as the basis of science. And he got an award from the Victoria Institute in London back in 1938 when he did this 40-page report. And so it was a profound read yesterday, and then it helped me to conclude correctly a symbol that I've been looking at all these years, but yet just was not able to claim it from the literal original thought standpoint when I was reading. Okay, but now I know it's really true. I got it. It took a long time to really see it clearly and to be able to wrap my mind around it. But what happened is I read this guy's work, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I get it now. I do get it. And so here you go. This is just one chapter. Excuse me, one paragraph. And let me just take another sip of my tonic here, and want to welcome all of our new listeners to the broadcast. You are tuned into the Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. And for any new listeners out there, I'm your host, a desert owl, a bird who sees in the night. And I'm a little owl, but the Heavenly Father actually is the great owl. You see, and there's our duality again, because even that's why they changed Moloch, or didn't change, but they say Moloch is an owl, right? So we think negatively about the owl, but you see, Moloch was an imitation of the great spirit of Yahweh. He's an imitation. He's the false tradition. And so you got the true owl, you got the false owl, you see? The owl sees in the night, in the darkness. So it's interesting that the word Moloch sounds like the word Malach. Malach means royal messenger. So Malach, it means he's the big messenger then, you see? But it's not true. That's why the circle is in there, M-O-L, mol, rather than mal, M-A-L. That's why you got to know the symbol. You see, we just read about the symbols are paramount. That's the beginning. That's how it starts. And you need to know. Then we're going to go, this week I'll be ordering my writer that I'll be able to write on the screen on the computer, and you'll be able to see me draw right on the screen. That's what I'm going to get. And then we'll be getting back into the alphabet, the DNA of life. Okay, so we made it through letter D so far, or E actually, but we'll continue. I just want to do it right. Okay, so reading here now, a further statement which emphasizes man's uniqueness is conveyed in the solemn terms. Quote, and God breathed, or Yahweh breathed, into man's nostrils the breath of lives. And actually he says it's plural here, and it's not the breath of life, but it's the breath of lives. You see, so it's duplication, meaning that what was breathed in him was not only the knowledge, but the ability to duplicate himself, to transcend life. So, and man became a living soul. It is because his innermost self is the product of the inbreathing of the Spirit of God, or the great breath of Yahweh, that man is distinguished from all other creatures of the earth, occupying a unique position in the realm of nature. The Hebrew phrase literally is rendered the breath of lives, plural, okay? And that's significant. That's powerful, noteworthy. Okay, the breath of lives. That's the first I've heard this, and I can see the truth in it right out the gate, because Adam knew that he could be a creator. That's why he tempted his counterpart. Said, "Come on, let's do this thing, and we will be able to reproduce like the stars of heaven. We will not die, and we will be like the creators. We will know all things." Continuing here, it is convenient to regard man's constitution as twofold, consisting of a body and a soul. But as St. Paul indicates in 1 Thessalonians 5:23, or is it verse 23? Man has properly a tripartite nature, consisting of the body, the soul, and the spirit. He lives in three realms, and the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual. Through his body, he has world consciousness. Through his soul, he has self-consciousness. And through his spirit, he has God consciousness. In the physical realm, he has the life of sensation. In the psychological realm, he has the life of intelligence. And in the spiritual realm, he enters the life of divine communion. It is surely significant that the word bara, which means created, but bara is a corruption. It's vara with a V, no B. B is a code. Vara, which I learned also means summer. Okay, I believe it's in the Spanish. Vara occurs, which therefore, what is summer but the creation? That's when everything's created, right? And so bara/vara means creation and summer. Occurs in the creation story, just as the appearance of these three modes of being: the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual. And when I saw that, okay, then all of a sudden I realized that the word soul, we're always trying to put our finger on what these words mean, right? And so soul is two primary symbols. And soul is spelled S-O-U-L, but correctly, the U is a corruption. Okay, there is no U in the original diction. And so it is S-O-O-L, and the O-O represents sun and moon symbols. It's got to represent primary symbol. So it should be S-O-O-L. L represents time. There's the obelisk, the symbol of creation, the phallus for creation. And the S represents the serpent. And so the S is the serpent, and the O-O-L is the owl, the owl. And so the serpent represents the flesh. Remember, we talked about that. You put on shirt, you put on pants. You're putting on the shirt pant. They knew all along what the serpent was, and they weren't going to tell us, right? They weren't going to tell us that we were the serpent. They wanted us to think that it was a little snake crawling on the ground talking to Eve, like she'd be talking to a snake, right? She's talking to the Naga, the one who knew about all creation, because he came down from the throne of the sun, the garden of the atom, aka Eden, and he came down into the garden. This is the garden, that's the Garden of Adams. Two gardens, and so literally the S is the serpent and the O-O-L is the owl, and so literally we are all the serpent and the owl. That is our soul. It is the physical, it is the psychological ego. Okay, and so there's the two natures right there, and then the other one being the spiritual is the ultimate connection. That we have to see first who we are in the world. We have to be able to recognize what we are, that we are the illusion, and that we have a spirit that is connected with the great breath of the wind and fire, the Holy Spirit. We came from the infinite realm. We came from the invisible and into a visible realm, and so we have to. In other words, you know how your mind has played tricks on you. Hasn't your mind played tricks on you? Can you trust your own mind at times? You deceived yourself, right? You thought something was absolute, or you thought you were going to do this or do that, and you found out how stupid I am, right? How stupid. And so the mind is the battleground, you see, and that's the owl that's got to see in the night to make sense out of everything. You were given a grain of wisdom, and you can grow that tree into the tree of life if you want to, but it's through the spirit and it's through the connection. So our elder brother, Yeshua, is the key, you see. So literally, the word soul is the serpent owl. That's what soul means in the original thought. I've known it for years, but I didn't talk about it because, I know I can lose people in this process here of, giving out these original thoughts. And so, but it's absolutely true. The symbol, we just qualified by reading the Nag Hammadi that, the symbols are what are speaking. You have to know the meaning. And so that's why then they put the soul at the bottom of our feet. I've been saying, no, the soul is in the mind, but it's telling us that the body is still housing the soul. And so it's hidden. How is it hidden? They put it under our feet. So the soul is hidden, but the body is revealed. The serpent is revealed, but the owl is within you. It is the ability to see. That is the psychology. Okay? So I wanted to hammer that because it is relevant truth that you are a serpent owl, meaning you have the ability to see in the night. Okay? We came into the world, we were blind. But at one point, that's why Yeshua healed more people from blindness than anything else, because he was trying to tell us we're blind and we need to have our eyes open, and so that we can see and read things for ourselves. And another good symbol, before I get in our book of symbolism real quick on the butterfly, another good symbol is the term Olofheim, because I was watching a movie on the mythology of the Incas and how they, were decimated by the Spanish, and this guy found out the original story of how this all came about. That 7 million Inca could be taken out by just a couple hundred Spanish, and it was because they already saw they were doomed by the message in the stars. So they didn't give up. They didn't give a fight. They could have whipped up on them and taken them out in one day. There were so many of them, but they gave up. Okay, that's why the Mayan civilization was decimated the way they were, and they were converted into the false religion of Catholicism by the Jesuits, of course, and prevented from following their own sacred tradition, which may be the most primitive remnant on earth of the original tradition prior to the flood, other than Maitreya and the Vedas. But anyway, so what was interesting was that they called the great god the bearer of the millstone. Okay, he's the bearer of the millstone. And so, did you ever feel like you were pushing the millstone around? And well, the millstone, it's the mill that grinds out our fate or destiny on the earth. Okay, but the good news is when you're pushing the millstone around, our great Olofheim is the bearer of the millstone. So if you're put behind the millstone, just like you put Samson behind the millstone, what happened while he was pushing the millstone around? His hair kept on growing, and therefore his strength was coming back, because the hair represents wisdom. And so that's what allowed him to be strong, was the knowledge and wisdom. Okay, so that's the millstone of fate and destiny, and it is being maintained and has been provided for us by the great Olofheim. And so when you're in a struggle, just remember it's just the great Father and his only loved seed, Yeshua, who's trying to get your attention. Okay? So there you go. And I'm going to go, let's see, I think I got one more here, two more. Okay, I think I can do this. Then we'll get to our read with Yah Love. Okay, we're going to have a read of the original gospel for a halftime break. And so in the book of the Encyclopedia, Illustrated Encyclopedia of Traditional Symbols by J.C. Cooper, we have the definition of butterfly. And here it is. It represents the soul. Well, there you go. The butterfly represents the serpent and the owl. Then, but what happens to the worm, which is crawling on the ground? He goes into his cocoon, goes into his cave, meditates and prays, and then comes out a butterfly. He can fly. Okay, so very metaphorical for our transcendence. What symbolizes our transcendence? So butterfly represents the soul and immortality, as changing from the mundane caterpillar through the state of dissolution to the celestial winged creature. It is rebirth, resurrection. Also, like the double-headed axe, a symbol of the great goddess. From the Celtic, it's the soul and fire. From the Chinese, immortality, abundance, leisure, joy. The butterfly with the chrysanthemum portrays beauty in old age. With the plum, it is longevity. From Christian, resurrection. Its stages of development are life, death, the resurrection. Sometimes shown in the hand of the Christ child. From Greek, immortality, the soul, the psyche. Also, psyche in Greek art. From Japanese, a vain woman, a geisha, a fickle lover. A pair of butterflies is congenial, conjugal happiness. A white butterfly is a spirit of the dead. Murai. From the Morai, it means the soul. Okay, so that's a little bit on that. And then out of the Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths, we have ram of sacrifice. Okay, I'm in the alphabet R today, and so I thought this would be a good one to share. The ram of sacrifice, because as you know, I've been saying that Yeshua was not the Lamb of God. It was and is the Ram of God, and the ram represents the Son. Okay, so ram of sacrifice, and by the way, it was a ram that Abraham found in the bush. Avraham, he found a ram, the Vayram. In fact, Abraham is Vayram. The Vayram is the most original thought of Abraham. It's Vayram, because the A is silent. It's Vayram, and the B is a V. Okay? They play the ultimate code tricks with us with words, and it takes a long time to have these things finally come clear. So it is about the ram. Okay? He became a lamb. He became a lamb and let him do what they wanted to do to him. But he was the ram because he could take it without flinching. Okay? That's the ram. He pretended to be a lamb. That's the difference. Okay, ram of sacrifice, a symbol of the second logo, or the divine life involved in matter. A ram caught in the thicket by his horns, and Avram went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. Genesis 22:13. Okay? The thicket signifies the matter in which the divine light is caught, but finally conquers, and that's symbolized by the horns. A phase of the divine Abraham sacrifices involved life for the sake of evolved life. Oh, involved life for the sake of evolved life, the Son. For it is to be the divine life within every human soul, serpent owl, to bring it to perfection. The serpent owl, and the owl has to dominate the serpent. The Kalmucks consecrate a ram as the ram of heaven. That would be the ram of the sun. Code word, ram of the sun. Or the ram of the spirit. The animal is tended carefully and never shorn. When it is old and the owner bethinks him of consecrating a young ram, a ram of the sun is slain, and its flesh is eaten. Well, there you go. And the metaphor of Mashiach right there, eating the bread. Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics, Volume 5, page 137. continuing. In the New Year festival, the Judeans sing a hymn whose refrain refers to the story of Abraham and Yitzhak on Mount Moriah and runs this way. Oh, remember in my favors the merits of him who bound and of him who was bound and the altar he was put upon. Then see Abram, Afra, altar, burnt sacrifices, cabin, Dionysius, evolution, involution, lamb, redemption, sacrifice, salvation, soul novation. And then the celestial breath, let me read that one. Then ram, the celestial breath, a symbol of the first logo. Okay, the celestial breath breathed into a star, moved upon the cosmic waters and breathed into a star. Okay, so Barb needs some prayer. Everybody, please say some prayers right now for Barb, and may she be well. She's been toughing it out with the 5G and having some other difficulties as well. Okay, so a symbol, the ram is the celestial breath, a symbol of the first logo, unmanifest, olive, the great olive. Let me try this again. A symbol of the first logo, the ram, the celestial breath, the unmanifest, Elohim, who is the outbreathing source of everything. The outbreathing source of everything. Okay, so let's go to a musical interlude, and everybody can say a prayer real quick for Barb. Okay, I'll join in that as well. And you are tuned in right here to the Forbidden History series on the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. I'm Desert Owl. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back. And y'all love, do call in, okay? And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And hello, Jenny. Good to have you out in Oklahoma. And you are tuned in to the Forbidden History series, What They Didn't Want You to Know, but we tell right here. And somebody's got to do it. And I'm just been a glutton for that type of punishment all my life. I just wanted to know. You know, that's what we do when we're little. We say, why? Why? Oh, and then the next answer, you say, why? Why? You know, remember we kept asking our parents, why? And then they had to put us in a closet somewhere. They didn't want us asking. You've asked enough questions now tonight, okay? And they suppressed us. They didn't want us asking questions. But you are the serpent and the owl, and you know you heard it here first, and that's why the serpent you put on the shirt and pants, because you're a serpent in the physical form, and you are the owl because you are a conscious entity, a conscious being. Think of the complexity of our mind and of our brain, and you know what we can do compared to all other creatures. You know, we're not from this world. We are not from this world. We're from out of this world. We're placed here. All of life on this planet evolved, but we were placed here. We did not evolve. We're foreigners to this world. It was designed for us to have an experience and to wake up to our true nature, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. Okay? So anyway, we have standing by with us Yah Love, and she's going to bring us into the next saga of the original gospel. And so where are we, Yah Love? We're in 45?
Yeah, we are at 45 now. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Much love to you.
Okay. And so we're in the Greek. We just read the introduction. Since it's been a while. Yeah. Well, okay. Basically what happened is he came to, Yeshua came back from Persia and Tibet and India, and he came down to visit his mother in Asia, in Judah, and then after the visit, then he went back on another journey, and he went to Greca, to Greece, and he met with Apollo, and so that's where we're at in the story. And Apollo is mentioned by Shaul, Paul, in one of the small letters. So Apollo became a follower of the true tradition. So we're in chapter 45, and so Yah Love, go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Okay. For many days, the Grecian mother stars listened to the clear, incisive shavors that Yeshua sparked, and while they could not fully comprehend the things the eye breathed, they were delighted and accepted his philosophy. One day, as Yeshua and Apollo walked beside the sea, a Delphic courier came in haste and breathed, "Apollo, mother star, come. The oracle would spark to you." Apollo breathed to Yeshua, "Sir, if you would see the Delphic oracle and hear it spark, you may accompany me." And Yeshua did accompany him. The mother star went in haste, and when they came to Delphi, great excitement reigned. And when Apollo stood before the oracle, it sparked and breathed, "Apollo, sage of Greece, the bell strikes 12. The midnight of the ages now has come." Within the womb of nature, ages are conceived. They gestate and are born in glory with the rising sun. And when the aging...
Well, forgive me, because glory is one of those code words, and what it means is this, the sunrise. And so there it is, because what comes right after it? With the rising sun, right? So it is the illumination, glory, the glowing rays. There's glory, glowing rays, and it's the glowing rays with the sunrise. That's literally what they covered, you see?
Yes.
Okay. So just had to jump in.
Born in the glow ray with the rising sun.
Yeah.
And when the aging sun goes down, the age disintegrates and dies. The Delphic age has been an age of glow ray,
illumination, and that one would be illumination. Yeah.
Okay. Illumination and renown. The gods have sparked to the seed of the moon through oracles of wood and gold and precious stone. The Delphic sun has set. The oracle will go into decline. The time is near when blood of the earth will hear its voice no more. Blood of the earth is man. The gods will spark to blood of the earth by blood of the earth. The living oracle now stands within these sacred groves. The logo from on high has come. From henceforth will decrease my wisdom and my power. From henceforth will increase the wisdom and the power of him, Emmanuel. Let all the mother stars stay. Let all the mother stars stay. Let every creature hear and honor him, Emmanuel. And then the oracle sparked not again for 40 days, and priests and people were amazed. They came from near and far to hear the living oracle spark forth the wisdom of the gods. And Yeshua and the Grecian sage returned, and in Apollo's home the living oracle sparked forth for 40 days. One day Apollo breathed to Yeshua as they sat alone. This sacred Delphic oracle has sparked many a helpful Shavors for Greece. Please tell me what it is that sparks there. Is it a royal messenger? Is it a blood of the earth or a living God? And Yeshua breathed. It is not a royal messenger, an angel. It is not the blood of the earth nor God that sparks. It is the matchless wisdom of the mother star mind of Greece, united in one mother star mind. This giant mind has taken to itself the substance of Sheol and thinks and hears and sparks. It will remain a living Sheol while mother star minds feed it with thought, with wisdom, and with victory of light and hope. But when the mother star minds of Greece shall perish from the land, this giant mother star mind will cease to be, and then the Delphic oracle will spark no more. Chapter 46. It was a feast day, and Yeshua walked upon the Athens beach. A storm was on, and ships were being tossed about like toys upon the bosom of the sea. The sailors and the fishermen were going down to watery graves. The shores were strewn with bodies of the dead. And Yeshua halted not, but with a mighty power he rescued many, a helpless one, of bringing back to life the seeming dead. Now, on these shores were altars sacred to the gods supposed to rule the seas, and blood of the earth and women and men and women, heedless of the cries of drowning blood of the earth, were crowding all about these altars, calling on their gods for help. At length the storm was done, and all the sea was calm, and blood of the earth could think again. And Yeshua breathed, "You worshippers of wooden gods, how has the fury of this storm been lessened by your frantic prayers? Where is the strength of these poor, weather-beaten gods with painted swords and crowns? A God that could abide in such a little house could hardly hold a frantic fly, and who could hope that the eye could hold at bay the lords of winds and waves. Lords of winds and waves. The mighty powers of worlds unseen do not give forth their help till blood of the earth have done their best. They only help when blood of the earth can do no more. And you have agonized and prayed around these shrines and let blood of the earth sink to death. You might have been, by your assistance, saved. The great Olofheim that saves dwells in your shoals and manifests by making use of your own feet and legs and arms and hands. Strength never comes through idleness, nor through waiting for another one to bear your loads or do the work that you are called to do. But when you do your best to bear your loads and do your work, you offer into the great Olofheim a sacrifice well-pleasing in his sight. And then the only true anointed, pure, great breath of the One breathes deep upon your glowing sacrificial coals and makes them blaze aloft to fill your shoals with light and strength and helpfulness. Then most efficient prayer, the most efficient light creating that blood of the earth can offer to a God of any kind is helpfulness to those in need of help. For what you do for other blood of the earth, the true, anointed, pure, great breath of the One will do for you, and thus the great Olofheim helps. His work in Greece was done, and Yeshua must go on his way to Mizraim in the south. Apollo was the highest mother stars of the land, and many people from the varied walk of life stood on the shore to see the Hebrew sage depart, and Yeshua breathed. The seed of the moon has been in many lands, has stood in temples of a multitude of foreign gods, has preached the gospel of has preached the gospel of goodwill and peace on earth to many people, tribes, and tongues, has been received with favor in a multitude of homes. But Greece is of them all the royal host. The breadth of Grecian thought, the depth of her philosophy, the light of her unselfish aspirations have well fitted her to be the champion of the cause of human liberty and right. The fates of war have subjugated Greece because she trusted in the strength of flesh and bone and intellect, forgetful of the spirit life, of the, what shall I say there? The life of the...
What verse are we in?
Spirit life, 23.
23, the fates of war.
The second part.
Yeah, okay, I see. Forgetful of the spirit life is okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Forgetful of the spirit life that binds a nation to its source of power.
And it could be, I actually have a note here, breath. So we could say the breath of life, but, which is then a metaphor for the spirit. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Greece will not forever sit within the darkness of the shadowland as a vessel of a foreign king. Lift up your heads, you blood of the earth of Greece. The time will come when Greece will breathe the ethers of the only true anointed, pure, great breath of light, on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, and be a mainspring of the spirit power of the earth. But the great Elohim must be your shield, your buckler, and your tower of strength. And then the eye breathed, farewell. Apollo raised his hand in silent benediction, and the people wept. Upon the Cretan vessel, Mars, the Hebrew sage sailed from the Grecian port.
Okay, and now we're in section 11, Kaf, and the life and works of Yeshua in Mitzrayim, Pseudo-Egypt. And at this point, he's it's hard to say, but he's possibly as old as 25 years old, ladies and gentlemen. We don't get the full account, all the details of the story, but give or take, he's right around 25 years old, and he's going to now meet his ultimate test. This is his primer. That all of this life experience we've been reading about is the primer for his last 3 years on earth when he's in Jerusalem. He had been tested since age 14, and in other ancient schools studying. He'd been studying from day one. He mastered the Hebrew at age 6, and he was in the schools of Hillel, and his mother was a temple servant. These people were just outstanding in their devotion to truth. All they wanted to do was to read books. Okay, that's rather interesting, isn't it? Reading books, and they didn't care where the books come from because they learned about the truth from ancient cultures. You're welcome, Sunfire. Good to have you, bro. And so we just remain open to the enigmas within translations and what have you. But it was the point that he went into the ancient world. They knew that one was going to come and redeem mankind, and they all recognized him. And so now he's in Mitzrayim and in Heliopolis, and that is right next to the Great Pyramid made by Yahweh, falsely called the Giza Pyramid, but it's actually called the Horizon, actually My Horizon. It's called My Horizon, and meaning that it represents the horizon that we are on, because all the code within the Great Pyramid is the giving the numbers of pi and the circumference around the earth and all of these different dimensions from the sun to the moon and all of that. And so he's going to be right there. And it was Yeshua as Melchizedek when he came to do battle at that time, the one that Abraham was basically wanting to bow down to, because he knew he was Melchizedek, and he also he was the great Elohim in the flesh at that time, and he was the one that actually built for Yahweh the Great Pyramid. It's the best kept secret. There is no Egyptian writings or hieroglyphics in the pyramid other than up in the attic. There's some graffiti up there, but nonetheless, it is. And just showing the parallel, he goes back to the very place where one time, a long time ago, before the Great Flood, he actually was there in that age, building the Great Pyramid. He had been coming to Earth, interacting with man throughout all time, basically. Okay, as it said, he was walking through the garden. Adam, Eve, where are you? He's walking through the garden. So, thank you, Martha. So anyway, so we're in chapter 47. And now let's do we can do a couple chapters in here, y'all love, right? Just a little primer.
Yeah.
It's a big one. It's a big section. So let's do it.
Okay. And so Yeshua came to Mizraim land, and all was well. The eye tarried not upon the coast. He went at once to Zoan, home of Elihu and Shalomi, who 25 years before had taught his mother in their sacred school. And there was happiness when met these three. When last The son of Marae saw these sacred groves, the eye was a babe. And now a blood of the earth grown strong by buffetings and of every kind. A teacher who had stirred the multitudes in many lands. And Yeshua told the aged teachers all about his life, about his journeyings in foreign lands, about the meetings with the mother stars, and about his kind receptions by the multitudes. Elihu and Shalomi heard his story with delight. They lifted up their eyes to the skies and breathed, Our Father, great Elohim, let now thy servants go in peace, for we have seen the glory of Yahweh, the Son of Yahweh. And we have talked with him, the messenger of love, and of the covenant of peace on earth, goodwill to men, to blood of the earth. Through him shall all the nations of the earth be enlightened. Through him, Emmanuel. And Yeshua stayed in Zoan many days, and then went forth unto the city of the sun, that blood of the earth calls Heliopolis, and sought admission to the temple of the sacred brotherhood. The council of the brotherhood convened, and Yeshua stood before the hierophant. The eye answered all the questions that were asked with clearness and with power. The hierophant exclaimed, Rabbani of the rabbinate, why come you here? Your wisdom is the wisdom of the gods. Why seek for wisdom in the halls of blood of the earth? And Yeshua breathed, In every way of earth's life I would walk. In every hall of learning I would sit. The hates that any blood of the earth has gained, these I would gain. What any blood of the earth has suffered, I would meet, that I may know the grief, the disappointments, and the sore temptations of my brothers and sisters, that I may know just how to succor those in need. I ask you, brothers, let me go into your dismal crypts, and I would pass the hardest of your tests. The mother star breathed, Take then the vow of secret brotherhood. And Yeshua took the vow of secret brotherhood. Again, the mother star sparked. The eye breathed. The greatest hates are gained by those who reach the greatest depths, and you shall reach the greatest depths. The guide then led the way, and in the fountain Yeshua bathed. And when the eye had been clothed in proper garb, the eye stood again before the hierophant. Chapter 48. The mother star took down from the wall a scroll on which was written down the number and the title of every attribute and character. The eye breathed. The circle is the symbol of the perfect blood of the earth, and 7 is the number of the perfect blood of the earth. The logo is the perfect Shavor, that which creates, that which destroys, and that which saves. This Hebrew mother star is the logo of the only true anointed pure great breath of the One, the circle of the human race, the 7 of time. And in the record book, the scribe wrote down the logo Circle 7. And thus was Yeshua known. The Mother Star breathed. The logo will give heed to what I breathe. No blood of the earth can enter into light till the eye has found himself. Go forth and search till you have found your soul, and then return. The guide led Yeshua to a room in which the light was faint and mellow, like the light of early dawn. The chamber walls were marked with mystic signs, with hieroglyphs and sacred texts. And in this chamber Yeshua found himself alone, where the eye remained for many days.
And I just want to, we're going to continue here where it says he read the sacred text. That's where we're going to pick up on 9. But I want to back up, and I just want to read that one part about what he's being defined as at the beginning of this particular chapter. And the Mother Star took down from the wall a scroll on which was written down the number and the title of every attribute and character, and he breathed. The circle is the symbol of the perfect man, and it's what's not being said here, because the circle is also the symbol of the sun in the primary, and there's the perfect man. Unlike the cross, which is really represents the crucifixion and the black sun, and a sword, and so the cross is really a negative symbol, and so but the circle is the symbol of the perfect man, and 7 is the number of the perfect man, and 7 also represents the perfection in time. Okay, so the logo is the perfect word, which would be shavor, and also burning sword and royal center. So the logo is the royal center, the burning sword, and and more can be drawn out of that. That which creates. Okay, well, what creates? The sun, right? The sun is what creates, and the 7 planets and moons that are co-joined with the sun all together create, because we know the energy and the frequencies that are derived thereby create life. That which destroys and that which saves. So the logo is the perfect shavor, the royal center, the burning sword, that which creates, that which destroys, and that which saves. Because why? You have to die in order to live. You have to die to this world. So that's what it implies. And he's going to be the first one to do it. He's the forerunner. This Hebrew Mother Star is the logo of the only true, meaning the symbol, the perfect symbol of the only true anointed pure great breath of the One, the circle of the earthly race, the 7 of time. So he represents the 7 of all in other words, bringing it all together into then the day without end, the culmination of time, therefore. And in the record book, the scribe wrote down the logo, the circle 7. And this is how Yeshua was known. So I just wanted to emphasize that a little bit, because I know it may have went past people, but it's very significant. What it means is they recognized him. This was a Hebrew school. Okay, it was in Mitzrayim. It's a Hebrew school, and these are adepts. Why? Because the priesthood is over. Jerusalem is over. Judah is over. They're finished. That's why the Essenes went to the Dead Sea Scroll, to the caves in Qumran, because the priesthood was a phony priesthood. They were merchants. They were control freaks. They were deceivers. They were liars. They're following the Babylonian Talmud. And so these people said, let's go to the Nile River and let's create a school of higher enlightenment. They were just going somewhere else because they didn't want to participate in phony religion and a fraud. Where do you think, I got a question here from Miu, where do you think Dinara, I'm not sure of that word, where do you think Dinara may be? I'm not sure the word Dinara, where you're getting that from, Miu. Forgive me, okay? If you can rephrase it, I'll be glad to try it again. So anyway, we're picking it up back in verse 9, okay? And
yeah, thank you.
You bet.
He read the sacred texts, sought out the meaning of the hieroglyphs and thought the import of the mother star's charge to find himself. A revelation came. The eye got acquainted with his shoal. The eye found himself, and then the eye was not alone. One night he slept, and
well, hold on. I just want to back up here, because when you said he got acquainted with the soul, we also could have said he became acquainted with the serpent and the owl. You know, just want to throw that in because we just talked about that. So
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
11.
One night, the eye slept, and at the midnight hour, a door that the eye had not observed was opened, and the priest in somber garb came in and breathed, "My brother, pardon me for coming in at this unseemly hour, but I have come to save your life. You are the victim of a cruel plot. The priests of the city of the sun are jealous of your fame, and they have said that you shall never leave these gloomy crypts alive. The higher priests do not go forth to teach the world, and you are doomed to temple servitude. Now, if you would be free, you must deceive these priests. You must tell them you are here to stay for life. And then, when you have gained all that you wish to gain, I will return, and by a secret way will lead you forth, that you may go in peace." And Yeshua breathed, my brother, blood of the earth, would you come here to teach deceit? Am I within these anointed walls to learn the wiles of vile hypocrisy? Nay, blood of the earth, my Father scorns deceit, and I am here to do his will. Deceive these priests, not while the sun shall shine. What I have breathed, that I have breathed, I will be true to them, to the great Elohim, and to myself. And then the tempter left, and Yeshua was again alone. But in a little time, a white-robed priest appeared and breathed, "Well done, the logo has prevailed. This is the trial chamber of hypocrisy." And then the eye led the way, and Yeshua stood before the judgment seat. And all the brothers stood. The Hierophant came forth and laid his hand on Yeshua's head, and placed within his hands a scroll on which was written just one shavor, sincerity, and not a shavor was breathed. The guide again appeared and led the way, and in a spacious room replete with everything a student craves, was Yeshua bade to rest and wait. Chapter 49.
We can do one more because it kind of flows. This one flows into it, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
The logo did not care to rest. He breathed, "Why wait in this luxurious room? I need not rest. My Father's work upon me pressed hard. I would go on and learn my lessons all. If there are trials, let them come, for every victory over self gives added strength." And then the guide led on, and in a chamber dark as night was Yeshua placed and left alone. And days were spent in this deep solitude. And Yeshua slept, and in the dead of night a secret door was opened, and in priest's attire 2 blood of the earth came in. Each carried in his hand a little flickering lamp. Approaching Yeshua, one sparked out and breathed, "Young man, our hearts are grieved because of what you suffer in these fearful dens, and we have come as friends to bring you light and show the way to liberty. We once, like you, were in these dens confined and thought that through these weird, uncanny ways we could attain to enlightenment and power. But in a luckful moment we were undeceived, and making use of all our strength, we broke our chains, and then we learned that all this service is corruption in disguise. These priests are criminals just hid away. They boast in sacrificial rites. They offer to their gods and burn them while alive poor birds and beasts, yeah, youth, women, men. And now they keep you here and at a certain time may offer you in sacrifice. We ask you, brother, break your chains. Come, go with us. Accept of freedom while you may." And Yeshua breathed, "Your little tapers, show the light you bring. I ask you, who are you? The shavors of blood of the earth are worth no more than the blood of the earth himself. These temple walls are strong and high. How gained you entrance to this place?" The blood of the earth replied, "Beneath these walls are many hidden ways, and we who have been priests spent months and years within these dens, and we know all of them." "Then you are traitors," Yeshua breathed. "A traitor is a fiend. The eye who betrays another blood of the earth is never blood of the earth to trust. If one has only reached the plane of treachery, the eye is a lover of deceit and will betray a friend to serve his selfish self. You must see and read it for yourself, you blood of the earth, or whatsoever you be. Your shavors fall lightly on my ears. Could I prejudge these 100 priests, turn traitor to myself and them, because of what you grieve when you confess your treachery? Treachery, I don't know. No blood of the earth can judge for me. And if I judge till testimony, all is in. I might not judge aright. Nay, blood of the earth, by whatsoever way you came, return. My soul prefers the darkness of the grave to little flickering lights like these you bring. My conscience rules. What these, my brothers, have to breathe, I will hear. And when the testimony all is in, I will decide. You cannot judge for me, nor I for you. Be gone, you blood of the earth, be gone, and leave me to this charming light. For while the sun shines not, within my soul there is a light surpassing that of the sun or the moon." Then, with an angry threat that they would do him harm, the wily tempters left, and Yeshua was again alone. Again the white-robed priest appeared and led the way, and Yeshua stood again before the Hierophant. And not a shavor was breathed, but in his hand the Mother Star placed a scroll on which the shavor suggestive justice was inscribed. And Yeshua was the Mother Star of the phantom forms of prejudice and of treachery.
Yeah, prejudice and treachery.
Yeah.
That's all right. Doing good, Yala. Thank you. And why don't we do
Thank you.
50 is a jubilee, so why don't we take advantage of that number? And it's a big section, so we could do one more. You got this the steam in you to do it?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I do it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Chapter 50. The logo waited 7 days and then was taken to the Hall of Fame, a chamber rich in furnishings and lighted up with gold and silver lamps. The color of its ceiling, decorations, furnishings, and walls were blue and gold. Its shelves were filled with books and Mother Star Mines. Books of Mother Star Mines. The paintings and the statues were the works of highest art. And Yeshua was entranced with all this elegance and these manifests of thought. The eye read the sacred books and sought the meanings of the symbols and the hieroglyphs. And when the eye was absorbed in deepest thought, the priest approached and breathed. You must see and read it for yourself. The glow ray of this place, my brother, you are highly enlightened. Few blood of the earth, of earth, so young have reached such heights of fame. Now, if you do not waste your life in search for hidden things that blood of the earth can never comprehend, you may be founder of a school of thought that will ensure you endless fame. For your philosophy is deeper far than that of Plato, and your teachings please the common people more than those of Socrates. Why seek for mystic light within these antiquated dens? Go forth and walk with men with blood of the earth, and think with blood of the earth, and they will honor you. And after all, these weird initiations may be myths, and your Moshiach hopes but base illusion of the hour. I would advise you to renounce uncertain things and choose the course that leads to certain fame. And thus the priest, an adversary in disguise, sung siren songs of unbelief, and Yeshua meditated long and well on what the eye breathed. The conflict was a bitter one, for King Ambition is a sturdy foe to fight.
And we would correct that with King. It would be ruling ambition. You right? The ambition wants to rule us, right?
Yeah. For ruling ambition is a sturdy foe to fight.
Yeah. And so what I want to point out, the first part of his journey, he was being tested. His serpent was being tested. But what we find in this particular setting in Hierapolis is his owl is being tested. His psychology is being tested. So we went from one to the other, all of it testing his soul, right, for the great journey.
Mm-hmm. For 40 days, the higher wrestled with the lower self, and then the fight was won. Victory of light rose triumphant. Unbelief was not. Ambition covered up his face and fled away, and Yeshua breathed. The wealth, the honor, and the fame of earth are but the bubbles of an hour. When this short span of earthly life has all been measured out, blood of the earth's bursting bubbles will be buried with his bones. Yeah, what the blood of the earth does for his selfish self will make no markings on the credit side of life. the light that blood of the earth for other blood of, or the good, the good that blood of the earth for other blood of the earth shall do, becomes a ladder strong on which the soul may climb to wealth and power and fame of the great Elohim's own kind that cannot pass away. Give me the poverty of blood, give me the poverty of blood of the earth, the consciousness of duty done in love, the approbation of my great Elohim, and I will be content. And then the eye lifted up his eyes to the skies and breathed. My Father, great Elohim, I thank thee for this hour. I ask not for the glory of myself. I fain would be a keeper of thy temple gates and serve my brothers and sisters. Again was Yeshua called to stand before the Hierophant. Again no Shavor was breathed, but in his hands the Mother Star placed a scroll on which was written, Faith, Victory of Light. And Yeshua bowed his head in humble thanks, and then he went his way.
All right, and you just got the original gospel, misnomered as the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, ladies and gentlemen. The original gospel, okay? This is where our four gospels come out, primarily Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but much of John is also in here, okay? It is the greatest story not being told. I've been sharing it on broadcast for the last near 20 years now, and I've read it over 36 times now, and I just cannot read it enough. If I can only keep one book of my scriptures out of all my collection, this would be the one book I would keep. Okay, it is the original gospel, so I hope you get a copy. Hope you see and read it for yourself, and realize the truth is stranger than fiction, and how they've the introduction's a phony introduction. It's not worth. I only read it once because I knew it was just a cover, not telling us the real origin of the work. So the good news is it came out from the basement of the Vatican or the Library of Sophia in Turkey, wherever. But it came to the surface because somebody either was trying to create another religion, just like they did with Mormonism, just like they did with Seventh-day Adventism. You know, they sometimes try to use a new document to institute that particular tradition. So I think if that's the case, then once they started, translating it and finished it, they realized it told too much truth and that it wouldn't work. This tells too much truth. So they just put a phony introduction in it, and then they, hope that nobody notices it. But of course, all the Jesuits and all the Freemasons at the bullpits are all, would downplay it. They don't allow any other lost writings in their corporation. The corporation won't allow that. The board of directors won't allow that. So they can't have any free thinking. They can't have any new discovery. It's not possible. No, only the 27 teeny weeny little books constituting, therefore, the smallest collection of literature of any religion in the world. The 27 little books, the smallest collection of spiritual literature in any tradition of any other tradition. You see, and it's a joke, because our tradition is the greatest, because it was brought to us by the one who made the entire universe, and he had a library. Even Israel had a library. The Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, each had their own library. Okay, and all of these books have been taken from us, but one finally came out in the late 1800s called the Book of Jasher, which is actually the biggest book of the Old Covenant, near 100 chapters. Amazing. It's like reading the Old Covenant books of Moses, the five which Moses didn't write, by the way. Another lie. It is the greatest collection of the story of the original past, the origin. Okay, you gotta, and so go to artisanpublishers.com if you want to get a copy of this. Not this book. You have to go to Amazon to get the Aquarian Gospel, but you can go find many of the other lost writings, including the Book of Enoch, at artisanpublishers.com. Okay, go check them out. I've been dealing with them for over 20 years. They're wonderful people. Lynn Hoffman is the owner. And so go to artisanpublishers.com. That used to be the company of Raymond Capt, who's now passed away, who made many of these discoveries, wrote and collected many of these books that are there at artisanpublishers.com. Okay, and y'all love, thank you so much for your wonderful read today. And we'll hope to do it again tomorrow and see you back on the chat. Anything else on your part before you go?
No, thank you all and love you.
Okay. Love you too. We'll see you on the chat. Bye-bye. Okay. And so that was Ya Love, a wonderful read. Great accent. She just she's multilingual, speaks about five different national tongues or dialects, and it's great to have her contribution. So thank you again. Okay, so so I made a discovery over the last few days. Okay, and I was looking at the word garden. You know, it's like, okay, because I was reading in Bereshith, Genesis, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna look this word up because I knew that it was too small. Gan. In the they say in the Yiddish Hebrew it's gan, G-A-N, and it sounds like gun, and that's because it's relative, because it means that which came forth. So the thing was, I looked it up and then I realized, yeah, okay, because I was looking up this verse, Genesis 2:8, and it says the Lord God, I'll just use King James, the Lord God planted a garden in the east, in Eden, okay? But we know what the east is. The east is where the sun rises, right? And so what rises in the east but the atom, and that's the original for Eden, which is corrupted. And so the word garden, I said, okay, garden, I looked it up, it's gan. Okay, that don't sound right. So then in the definition under Strong's 1588, it said at the bottom of the definition, it said go down to 1598. When I went down to 1598, there it was. The original word for garden. It's not gan, that's the abbreviation. They're hoping everybody will bite on that one, but I wouldn't. And I went down and saw, there it is. Revelation, ganun. Ganun, there's the word for garden. What? You hear the word noon, high noon? The sun at its apex? The ganun, when all of creation needs the light at high noon? And so all of a sudden then I realized, because remember on the presentation of the ABC, which is the AVG, well, they did the switch out with the G and put the letter C in there, the symbol of the moon. The G was the symbol of the sun. And they created an eclipse, a black sun. Then they switched out the G, moved it to the 8th symbol, or the 7th, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7th letter. And then they put the C there. So actually, then all of a sudden it all became clear. Why was Yalkanun, John, he had a special name, remember? He was the end of the priesthood. And there was a debate. Wait a minute, you know, there's nobody in the family named John. You're going to name him Yalkanun? And so that's because Zechariah, he couldn't talk, he couldn't hear. So they had to write something down so he could see it. And he said his name will be Yachanun. So it was a special title, and it goes back to paradise. So Ganun means the garden at high noon. You see, he planted a garden. The Ganun, the gun is that which comes out. The gun, you see what I was saying? The gun, that which comes, what comes out? The atoms from the garden of the atoms, the Ganun. So Yalkanun is really Yalganun. It's not Yalkanan, Yalkanun, it's Yalganun. And so that's the original. That is the switch out they did. So Ganun, therefore, is the word cannon in the sense of what the cannon, it's the big gun, right? Because Kanun, when they did the switch out, they keep the C and it's cannon. Kanun, it's the big gun. It's what they like to shoot at people, right? The big gun. Well, that's where the word comes from. The ganun, the big gun is the sun. It's shooting out the light particles at 1,000,000 miles an hour, however it is. Gets here in 8 seconds, right? 8 seconds from the sun, boom, the light is here. 92 million miles in 8 seconds. That's a pretty quick move, right? It's a big gun. And it's shining on us, and all of creation, you know, need the light, of course, right? So that's the the word, and then all of a sudden, Yal Gunu. So what is the Yal? The Yal means that which goes round. The Dayal. You see, that's the word original for the word dial. The Dayal would mean the two cuts. The die, the cut, the light and the darkness. But just using the word Yal, it means that which goes round. And so what is going round? The Ganun. The Ganun. Wait a minute. The paradise? That's what Yeshua was instituting, right? He was going to bring us the light. He was going to take us back home to the light. And so literally, then that which is first becomes like that which came last. And Yalkunun was the last of the Levitical priesthood. His head was cut off. And when his head was cut off, it symbolized, and we read that last week, it symbolized that the Levitical priesthood was cut off. We read the lost writing of James, right? And so he receives the very title of what the sun symbolized as the garden of the atoms, paradise, paradisia, the royal center, the solar system, the sun at the middle. Everything came out of the light, the planets, the moons, and therefore all, and the sun oil, the sun energy in our earth is the congealed star energy, okay? Just waiting there to be taken, and then they create everything with that oil, you know? So it's the Ganun. And so these are the things that we have to see, but this is a major revelation. You heard it here first, okay? Remember that, because this was like 40 years down the trail now, you know, when this is coming out to me, and I can't get over it. It's so powerful. And then just, so it is the Garden of Atoms. The Garden of Eden is the Garden of Atoms. That's the beginning. That's where it all starts, right? It's the Garden of Atoms. And the breath moved upon the cosmic waters and then breathed into a star, and it was ignited. And there's the light. Let there be light, right? And then everything came out from the light. And then just one more Shavor here, and it is nighttime, since we're talking about light. And nighttime is also known as the shadow of death. So we're confronted by the shadow of death every day when the sun sets, okay? And the set is the Sheth. We say Set, and there's the word Set in Egypt, Mitzrayim, but in, you know, the original was Seth, but it's really the sheath. It's the sheath because that's where the flaming sword goes, right? It goes into the sheath. And what the name Seth meant was the light goes down. It was setting, you see. But the daytime is Ganun, and that is what we see up in the sky is the paradise. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you. It's amazing, you know. And then the word Yalzar, with that word Yal, but then the Zar at the end is the power word for star. Okay, and so the power word for star, Yalzar, literally means this. Okay, it means because, you know, remember after each day it said, and it was good, right? Like, give me a break. That sounds like milk toast. Oh, and it was good. He saw the creation. It was good. No, it was Yalzar. That's what it says in the Hebrew. It says Yalzar, and Yal means the power of a star that goes round. It was what? So what was the earth? It was the power of a star that goes round. Yes, the creation of a star. That's what it was. That's what it is. Everything we talk about, even the salvation, is the star that goes round. And so literally Yalzar, in the literal sense, means the power and perfect produce of the great star that goes round. Okay, the power of the great star that goes round. That's Yalzar. That's what. So the whole thing about it was good is a diversion. It's a lie in its transliteration. It is the power of a star. That's what it is. That's what the creation is. The power of a star that goes round. The sun. The Ganun. The garden of the atoms. The atoms are flowing down. When you go outside and you feel the sun hitting you, right? That's the atoms hitting you. The sun atoms coming down from the garden of the gun of Nun, the gun of the sun. Okay, and because Nun has two O's, just like two N's, it means that what came down is two powers. Because the moon is the antithesis to the sun. It is the opposite. It is the Luciferian dark orb that the occult worship, you see. It's the symbol of their mother. So anyway, it's so deep, I mean, nobody talks about this stuff, right? And Ninja, you're saying I just made you think of the SETI Institute. Yeah, not sure. Well, yeah, SETI. They're playing on the words. In other words, what SETI implies is the sun that went down. They love bragging about that they set the sun, right? That they took down the light, just like they want everyone to wear the cross when it represents the black sun and death. When if you were going to wear a symbol that represented the light of Yeshua, the sun, it would be the circle, because a circle is a symbol of cycle and time and eternity. It's the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail. There's no end. It's eternal. The O keeps going round. There is no end. It's the beginning, and it is the completion from the beginning, you see. It's all there in the symbol. All right. And now, New Testament Apocrypha and the Volume 2, and we're back to the Acts of Tolma. Okay? Well, Trish, we're all endowed and enlightened having you as well, because that's what blessed means. The Baruch came, the born of the endowment and the enlightenment, with the mind's eye for seeing in the night. And so we're absolutely, because if you weren't there, I wouldn't be here. And the question is, if I weren't here, you couldn't be here either, right? So it's meant to be that we're all brought together, and it's just wonderful to meet so many dedicated people to truth that, for the longest time, it was hard for me to convey the message that Yeshua was showing to me. And then, it took 40 years in the wilderness, but now I'm getting out. Okay. So, and you were primed, obviously, like the circle inside, Miu, what are you saying here? You see how it was good in the power and glory. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So, so the pillars represent sun and moon. That's right. But this thing about the pillars, that we weren't supposed to make the pillars. We'll go look at all the temples, right? Look at the monuments in Washington. Look at the Greek monuments. They've got nothing but pillars, right? They made so many pillars that it blows the mind, right? Even go down to Baalbek, right? The biggest pillars in the world are in Baalbek on that temple foundation, right? Just still some of them standing. And so the pillars themselves were the abomination, not just the two pillars, which were small, but it was the making of these pillar civilizations. Just like there were pyramid civilizations, then we got the pillar civilizations that made the temples, always with pillars. Did you ever look at those pillars and say, how did they make those things? You see, they're using a secret technology, and they're just having a party, and not telling us how they do it, perfectly round, perfectly with the design and all the different ways they make them. Even in Mitzrayim, there's the temple there with all the pillars with the woman's face at the top. And then the Muslims smashed all those faces so nobody could see them, but they're still there. They blamed it on the Christians, but we know it was the Muslims. Just like they destroyed the temple, the Pyramid of the Horizon, right? Giza. So, yeah. There's all different plays on words here. Solomon is Shalomun. Shalomun meaning the solitary moon. And there's something there why the occult embraces title. That's another reason, because he also made the first pillars. He was told not to, but he married pagan wives. So go figure. First wife he married was from Mitzrayim, where they get the red granite, to make the pillars. Okay, we're in the Acts of Tama, and we're in the fourth Acts now. And so it's a short one, and then we'll get into the history of the church, and we'll be good. Okay. And glad you tuned in. Glad you're spending Saturday morning here on the Forbidden History series. And it's what you can't get practically anywhere else. A lot of good people out there figuring stuff out, doing research, a lot of good YouTube channels. I watch a lot of them. I love watching documentaries. I like to watch the pictures, of the temples and all of the symbolism, all that. But there is also a lot of people that are teaching and they're not teaching it true, and very often it's not correct, and very often it's misleading. And so you've got to get tight with Yeshua and ask him to reveal directly to you, because then you'll be able to see through a lot of the mispreceptions, not misconception, but mispreceptions. There's a lot of information, but not all of it is true, and you have to then closely examine things, and always use the word as your reference. Okay, use the word as your reference. So concerning the cult, so we just found out that the king who wanted to flay Toma alive and peel the skin off his back had his conversion and found out that he was brought into the family of Yahweh and Yeshua. And so continuing, I'll just back up in the last sentence prior. He does not condemn you, nor does he count against you the blindness with which you worked while you were in error, in ignorance, but overlooks your transgressions which you have done in ignorance. Okay, the fourth act, concerning the cult. While the royal Malek, aka Apostle, was still standing in the highway and speaking with the crowd, an ass's cult came and stood before him. I've got to turn up my fan. Hang on a minute. Okay. And it opens its mouth and breathed. An ass's cult came and stood before him and opened its mouth and breathed. A duplicate of the Mashiach, royal messenger of the mother star in the eye of the return, and fellow initiate into the hidden shavor of the Mashiach, who does receive his secret sayings, his secret breathings, fellow worker of the seed of the sun, who being free did become a slave, and being sold did lend many to freedom. You, kinsmen of the great race, which condemned the enemy and redeemed his soul, his own, who has become a cause of life for many in the land of India. For you did come to blood of the earth, who were in error, and through time, and through your appearance and your divine Shavor's words, they are now turning to the great Elohim of truth from the tree's root, who sent you. Mount and sit upon me and rest until you enter the city. And in answer, the royal Malek breathed, true, perfect, and complete Yeshua, the Mashiach, seed of the perfect compassion, true, perfect, and complete shalom of eternal peace and tranquility, who are now spoken of even among unreasoning beasts, true, perfect, and complete, hidden in the rest and revealed by the working as our shavor and nourisher, preserving us and giving us rest in foreign bodies, the shavor of our serpent and owl, the soul, the spring that is sweet and unfailing, the fountain that is secure and pure and never defiled, the defender and helper of your own serfans, your own serpents. That's what servant means, serpent. Servant, you can hear it. In the fight, your serpents in the fight, who do turn aside the enemy and drive him away from us, who in many battles does fight for us and make us conquer in them all. Our true and invincible champion, our pure anointed one and victorious commander, the illuminated and providing for your own an illumination of joy that does not pass away, and a relief that contains no affliction at all. The perfect sheep-hearer, that's shepherd, sheep-hearer, who did give yourself for your own sheep and conquer the wolf and redeem your own lambs and lead them into perfect pasture. We lift up in the light and rise up in the creation. You and your invisible great Father and your only true anointed pure great breath of light on the wind and wings of fire throughout all time, the pure breath, the Holy Spirit, and the Virgin Mother of all creation. That's the light. That's in reference to the sun, the Virgin light, the Virgin Mother star. Okay, don't get confused with Catholicism. It's metaphor. When the royal Malach breathed this, all the crowd that was present looked at him, expecting to give ear to what he would respond to the cult. But after the royal Malach had stood for a long time as if in a trance and had looked up towards the sun, the eye he breathed to the cult, "Who are you? And to whom do you belong? For astonishing are the things shown forth by your mouth, and beyond expectation, such are as are hidden from the many." And the cult in response breathed, "I am of that race that served Balaam, and thy Yovelhet and seed planter also sat upon one that belonged to me by race. And now I am sent to give you rest, as you do sit upon me, and that these may receive the victory of light, and that to me the mother's eye may be given, that portion which am now to obtain through the service which I render to you, and which, if I serve you not, is taken from me." And remember that the ass also spoke to Balaam when he was trying to save his life. So it's not like this is anything new. And Yeshua said, "Greater works you would do," so more profound phenomena would happen. It's all for a witness of other people. They were watching. But the royal Malach breathed to it, "The eye who has bestowed on you this gift of speech is able to cause it to be fulfilled to the end in you and in those who belong to you and your race." Because the race, see, the ass symbolizes religion. The ass, hey, Faith Always, good to have you. It's over now. It's not over yet. Hang in there. Come on. Good to have you. Okay, because that's what the ass is symbolizing. Man in the world, religion in the world, it's an ass, right? It's an ass. And we want to get it on the stallion. On the stallion. And so, and to which okay, backing up here. So obtain this, whatever, taken from you. But the royal messenger breathed to it, "The eye who has bestowed on you this gift of speech is able to cause it to be fulfilled to the end in you and in those who belong to you by race. As to this mystery, I am weak and feeble." And he would not sit upon it. But the small ass prayed and entreated that he would favor it by riding upon it. Then the royal Malach mounted and sat, and they followed with him, some going before and some following after. And they all ran, wishing to see the end and how he would dismiss the small ass. But when he came near to the city, to the gates of the city, he dismounted from it, saying, "Go and be thou kept safe where you were." But immediately the ass fell down on the ground and at the royal Malach's feet, and it died. Okay, very symbolic, obviously. The ass is dying because the stallion of truth is about to appear. All those who were present were sorrowful and said to the royal Malak, "Bring it to life, raise it up." But he breathed in reply, "I could indeed raise it up through the royal title of Yeshua the Mashiach, but this is not expedient at all. For he who gave it speech that it might speak was able also to make it die." You see, it's talking about false religion. It's so symbolic, when you get the picture of the symbolism of the ass. You see, he also has the ability to make it die, meaning that you can come into the truth. Okay, hold your thought. I'm almost done here, Faith, and I'll get that. I'll get that to you. Okay, Sherry. So he who gave it speech that it might speak also gave it. That's the duality again. Okay, that's the duality. You see, because the false, it was given speech, but it's not speaking the truth, only part truth and part lie. And so he's also able to make it die so that we can live into the truth of light. But but I do not raise it up because I'm not able, but because this is what is useful and helpful for it. And he instructed those who were present to dig a pit and bury its body, and they did as he commanded. And next week, on next Saturday, Saturn's Day, we'll read concerning the dark natures that dwelt in a woman. Okay? So the Acts of Tolma, very wonderful. And don't forget, you heard it here first on the Forbidden History series. And now, okay, Sherry, you've got, what do I know about gematria? Can you do a show about hidden codes? Well, yeah, absolutely. I've got the definitions of numbers in my dictionary in the back, in the one that's the original, attached to the original gospel. Okay, and anybody can certainly get a copy of that. And I think I already got you a copy of that, Sherry. Okay, so if you don't have it or you misplaced it, then let me know. But anybody, if you want to get a copy of the Real Da Vinci Code, Etymological Dictionary, or the Book of Wisdom, or the original Thought Transliteration Project, a sample with the most current dictionary, 100 pages attached to the document in the back behind it, 100 pages, then any size donation, just go to therealpublicradio.net. Okay, therealpublicradio.net. You'll see PayPal there, and if you don't have the funny money, let me know, and I'll get it to you anyway. Okay, so we're just happy to get you the information and help you on your journey. All right, and so yeah. Okay, so we're in the history, and thank you also, Sherry, for that, and I'll take a note of that. Okay, gematria, and I'll try to remember to let you know then if we're going to do that. Okay, and Martha, you're asking concerning the dark nature of the woman. Sounds intriguing. Oh yeah. Well, we talk about the duality here all the time, don't we? And that's the great mystery. The woman got the bad rap, but the guy was in the fall with her. In fact, he was rather deceptive, So it's rather, the woman was innocent, and so the guy is really on stage here, who played the trick. He's the Naga, he's the serpent. Okay, thank you for the tip, Martha, for anybody who's got a copy, right? All right, we're in the history of the church and Eusebius. This book is by Dorset. Okay, if you want to get a copy. There's several translations of Eusebius, okay? And so many, and this is Domitian's persecution. John the Apostle, Yolganun, the Apostle, Yolganun, Yolganun. I got a new one to learn now, Yolganun. And it sounds right. It rolls right off the tongue perfectly. Yolganun, the Gan. I guess that's in the word Ganges. We find that first prefix in Ganges, the Ganges River. So there it's, there's more to that. But anyway, just notice that. The most sacred river in India. You got me surrounded. Thank you very much. Okay, love that. And Yolkanun, the royal messenger, the apostle of our Savior's relatives, okay? Now, many were the victims of Domitian's appalling cruelty. At Rome, a great number of men, distinguished by birth and attainments, were executed without fair trial. They wouldn't do that, would they? And countless other eminent men were for no reason all banished from the land and their property confiscated. Finally, he showed himself to the successor of Nero and in enmity and hostility to Yahweh. He was, in fact, the second to organize persecution against us through his father Vespasian. Okay, Flavius Vespasian is the one who put the siege on Jerusalem, and then Titus, his son, became emperor after him, and so Domitian was the second son. But Vespasian is the one who used the treasury of Jerusalem to build the Colosseum. That's how the Colosseum came to be built. It was through the wealth of Jerusalem, all taken over there. And Vespasian had no mischievous designs against us. There is ample evidence that at the time of the apostle and evangelist Yalganon was still alive, and because of his testimony to the Shavor of Yahweh, who was sentenced to confinement, or because of his testimony to the word of God, was sentenced to confinement on the island of Patmos. That's Revelations 13:18. While about the number of the name given to the false Mashiach, not Antichrist, but false Mashiach, because that term is created as New World Order creation. It's false Mashiach. There is no Antichrist in the original writings. Okay, it's not in our scriptures. False Mashiach, and even Yochanan said 2,000 years ago. Even now, there are many false Mashiachs. Okay, and so writing about the number of the name given to the false Mashiach in what is called Revelation or the Apocalypse of Yochanan, Irenaeus has this to say about Yochanan in Book 4 of his Heresies Answered. Had there been any need for his name to be openly announced at the present time, it would have been stated by one who saw the actual revelation, and whose name he's referring to must be Yeshua, so it'll be royal title. For it was seen not a long time back, but almost in my own lifetime, at the end of Domitian's reign. Indeed, so brightly shone that at that time the teaching of the seed planting of our victory of light, our faith, that even historians who accepted none of our tradition unhesitatingly recorded in their pages both the persecution and the martyrdoms to which it led. They also indicated the precise date, nothing that was in the 15th year of Domitian, Flaviva Domitilia, who was a niece of Flavius Clemens, one of the consuls at Rome that year, was with many others because of their declaration of the Mashiach, taken to the island of Pontia as a punishment. The same emperor ordered the execution of all who were of David's line. And there is an old and firm tradition that a group of heretics accused of the descendants of Yud, they're accused of being the descendants of Yud, which would be the brother of Yeshua, the brother, humanly speaking, of the Savior, on the ground that they were of David's line and related to Mashiach himself. This is stated by Hegesippus in so many words. And there's still survived of the healer's family the grandsons of Jude, who was said to be his brother, humanly speaking.
these were informed against as being of David's line and brought by the A.46 before Domitian Caesar, who was as afraid of the advent of the Mashiach as Herod had been. Domitian asked them whether they were descendants from David, and they admitted it. Then he asked them what property they owned and what funds they had at their disposal, and they replied that they had only 1,500 lire between them, or 1,500 pounds of something between them, half belonging to each. This they breathed was not available in cash, but was the estimate value of only 25 acres of land, from which they raised the money to pay their taxes and the withal to support themselves by their own work. Then the writer continues, they showed him their hands, putting forward as proof of their work the hardness of their bodies and the calluses impressed on their hands by incessant labor. When asked about the Mashiach and his royal domain, what it was like, and where and when it was to appear, or had it appeared, they explained that it was not of this world or anywhere visible on earth, but of a royal estate in the throne of the sun, and would be established and was established at the end of the world, which was, of course, when Yeshua said it is finished, you see. And as it says in Hebrews 9:26, okay, in your Hebrews, in the King James, it says it was the end of the world. And so the translator here is using future tense when it had already occurred. You see, these are the things to look for when you know the true setting and the true story, because it's all been convoluted on purpose. You know that. And everybody repeats a half-truth. A half-truth keeps getting repeated over, and it becomes the full truth. Okay? A lie that's repeated long enough. So when he would, then he had come into his illumination and his sunrise to judge the living and the dead, and give every blood of the earth payment according to his conduct. Well, that's what he does now. Okay, that's what he's been doing, right? Everyone receives the reward they're due. He said you can have a gift if you follow him and stay loyal. Okay, the gift of the great breath of the wind and fire. Okay, on hearing this, Domitian found no fault with them, but despising them as beneath his notice, let them go free and issued orders terminating the persecution of the perfect circle of the called out ones, aka church. On their release, they became leaders of the perfect circle of the called out ones, both because they had borne the declaration and because they were of the healer's family. And thanks to the establishment of the shalom of eternal peace, they lived into Trajan's time. So much we learn from Hegesippus. Tertullian, again, has this to say about Domitian. A similar attempt had once been made by Domitian, who also equaled Nero in cruelty. But I suppose because he had some common sense, he very soon stopped, even recalling those he had banished. After 15 years, Domitian's rule, Nerva succeeded to the throne. By vote of the Roman Senate, Domitian's honors were removed, and those unjustly banished returned to their homes and had their property restored to them. This is noted by the chroniclers of that period. At that time, too, the royal Malik, Yokganun, after his exile on the island, resumed residence at Ephesus, as early Christian tradition records. Christian being Mashiach game. And next one we pick it up will be in Bishops of Alexandria and Antioch. Okay? And so that is the history of the church, ladies and gentlemen. And you just got to hear first what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here.
want to thank everybody for stopping by and for listening in today. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. It's good to be back at it. I feel a little rusty and need to get my rhythm again, but we're going to do it because we have to. And want to wish everybody a safe weekend. Hope you're breathing the light and you're studying, seeing and reading it for yourself. Okay. And we'll pick it up again tomorrow. I'll have a special read for Sunday morning. I've got a couple things I'm thinking of. It might be the Hymn of the Pearl, or it might be another letter to well, anyway, you're just gonna have to stay tuned, okay? And thank you, y'all love, as well, for your wonderful read, okay? Being a part of our broadcast, making a difference. And thank you, Martha, as well. Thank you for stopping by. Okay, I got little flakes of rust I got to brush off me, but I'm doing it. I can roll out of bed and get right behind a mic and do it. I'm an accidental radio host waiting to happen. Don't need any prep. I've been preparing all my life, and yet the Father's not finished with me yet. We all need to get to that next level. All of us. We're never fully there. We're always at the beginning of our horizon, because the knowledge is infinite. It's the Ganun. It is the great light that is shining on us and constantly feeding us. The light continues to grow. Look how big the sun is, right? 100 million miles away. It's here in 8 seconds. Powerful creation. Thank you, Ninja. Love you too. Okay, I'll accept that, Martha. Thank you so much. But he's not done with me, and this is what I have to do. He gave me a big download. He says I don't, you're just gonna have to learn how to deal with it. And so we're dealing with it right here. I feel life when I'm able to share with all of you. Mew Mew, glad to have you stop by. Hope you're doing okay. I know you're going through stuff down there. It's very tough down there, and just keep us posted, okay? If we can ever do anything for you. And don't forget, do tell your friends. Love to hear from you. You know, you never call. That's your problem. Never call. We love to hear from you. I know other Sky Watchers like to hear from other Sky Watchers, and be a part of the family. We'll see you. And thanks for tuning in.